You laid down the life you can have from the world. That's what most Christians have not done. They have not laid down, and I would even say 95% of the people who've been busy with the grace message for the last however many years, they still haven't laid down the life that's in the world. They haven't given up the ghost. They're still busy with grace is the means to get the American dream, or to get all the things that I want, or to never ever have to deal with a cold or a broken bone or anything like that. They're still busy trying to find a life from the world instead of just letting go or laying down that life. Jesus laid down the life that was in the world. He laid it down. He said, I behold the life I could have in the world. Do you think any of us had more ability than Jesus had? Jesus had some pretty good ability. So Jesus probably could have had a pretty darn good life in the world, couldn't he?
He's God.
He probably could have gotten a pretty darn good life in the world. Sure. And so when Jesus beheld the life he could have in the world, it wasn't a miserable life. He could have built some things. He could have done like Solomon. I mean, he might have even been able to restore Israel in the earth over Rome. He might have been able to lead a revolt against Rome and get Rome out of there. He might have been able to really rally the troops. That might have looked really good. So in light of all the beauty Jesus maybe could have done with his ability in the earth, he saw all of it and he said, that life still can't bring me out of the grave. That still can't cause me to live forever. It can't seat me at the right hand of God. It can't ascend me into the heavenlies. I can't have eternal life through that. So he laid it down. And the serpent tempted him. Look at all the kingdoms of the earth. So that's the life you could have in the world. He could have had it all. He could have had everything in the world. He laid it down. He counted that even a life that could look good in the world is still death. It's still a life subject to death. We can take the life that we think in the world that's the most gloriously and beautifully lived life in the world, meaning they had all the houses, the cars, the kingdoms, everything. We could take that most glorious life, everything went right for them, every good job, every promotion, every child they wanted, every good thing they wanted to have. Nothing ever bad happened, never any loss. That life is still subject to death. So, let us lay it down. You know?
You know what makes all this really kind of gel for me is God speaking that word to you. Have you considered the resurrection?
Yeah.
That makes it all kind of like go together right now.
And that's what it did for
awesome.
me.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's like God confounding Greg, because like one of the things that comes easy to me is understanding how to describe details. It comes easy to me. So sometimes I can fall in the pattern of thinking I must know every detail for a revelation. Sure. And in that moment, God didn't come and give me all the different details. Not that the details are bad, but in that moment, he told me a very simple thing, that I didn't even understand all the details yet. Have you considered the resurrection? And I just began thinking of a simple resurrection. I didn't think about all these details that I preached on Sunday. I just started considering the resurrection. And I just found that made me happy, and I couldn't even explain why, really. I just found that I started thinking of the resurrection. And the details aren't bad. It's just releasing the Spirit. But don't think you have to understand every detail. You could just consider the resurrection and find yourself thinking on the resurrection. And that will do something dynamic to you. Just that. Lord, I want to know the power of the resurrection. That's it. I want to know that. I want to know that. I want my heart established in that. And you don't even have to understand the ins and the outs. It's like, in fact, it's like in talking about all this, the only reason why I understand the ins and the outs is to unexplain all the things the smart people have come and explained. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's like
that's right.
all these details are only important to the degree of unwinding all the things the smart people have taught us all. Right? That have cluttered all of our mind with lies. It's like, so we can let go of the lies. Otherwise, we can say, how can that be?
Right.
Do you know, how could that be true?
Sure.